Rugs? I'll go with recording.
Welcome back to episode 87 of the Black Squadron podcast. I am BP, and joining me as always, Todd and Darth Mari.
What's up?
Pause for dramatic effect as I'm doing like interpretive dances over here.
Yes,
Todd's just over here voguing.
It's the theme song. I swear, every time it comes on,
it gets me jazzed. It gets the people moving.
Yeah,
it does. You know what's crazy? We pay for 4.5 minutes of a song we use 15 seconds of.
Worth it.
Oh man! So what happened since we've last recorded? D23 happened. Anything else Star Wars related?
I think just it's just one thing after another with because you go San Diego Comic-Con and then it's like all right, let's get your breath, and it's like boom, D23.
Shout out to Daisy Ridley and her latest photo shoot for the Women's Health magazine. Get it, girl. All right, yeah. So if you are new to our program, we are the Black Squadron podcast. We talk a lot of Star Wars. We have a crippling collection habit. Mari is in fact a Sith, Darth Mari, and Todd and I are Mandalorians. So we can all agree the Jedi are scum.
100%.
If you watch any of the Acolyte coverage, it's just Mari being like every week is like, well, listen, like I'm not wrong. Like
let me just tell you how this show proved me right from square one.
Every week you're just being Mari with a sign that says I was right.
I should make one of those.
Oh man,
she's 100% correct though. So everybody, for the record, Darth Mari was right. All right, tonight we are going to talk about everything that happened at D23 Star Wars related. I don't think we'll talk about any Marvel or Disney stuff, but who knows? It may pop up. You never know. But I guess let's hop right into the news.
All right. So like BP said, we're talking all about D23 this week. There's a lot of Star Wars, but I feel like there's also less Star Wars than what we had at San Diego Comic-Con for some reason. Maybe it's just because of the way the panels were set up at San Diego Comic-Con, but I feel like we got more news, but less. I don't know. It was weird. Obviously D23, for those who don't know, is like Disney's big expo they do, I think every other year now, where they announce like improvements to the parks, new things that are coming, stuff that's coming for the Disney entertainment section of Disney. I mean, Disney owns everything at this point, so it's like, here's everything that's coming to you in one way or another. Yeah. I was like, wow, they really do own a lot of stuff. So a couple things that they do. One of the panels that they did, or one of the showcases, was about the parks. So a lot of stuff that's not Star Wars related. The one Star Wars thing we did get with the parks is that Smuggler's Run, the wonderful ride in Galaxy's Edge, is getting a new playable update for the Mandalorian and Grogu. So it's expected around the same time as the debut of the Mandalorian and Grogu, so 2026. From my understanding of this, it's going to be basically just a new piloting map, more or less. I mean, that's what the ride is you're piloting the Millennium Falcon. So there's just going to be a new kind of insertion of the Millennium Falcon, which makes me wonder, and I'll ask both of you guys this, what do you think this means with regards to the Mandalorian and Grogu? Because technically, I know they've kind of gotten a little more flexible with it, but technically Batu is an in-canon thing for Star Wars. So everything that happens on Batu is supposed to be canon, in theory. Obviously, with this ride, it's supposed to be canon. Do you think we're going to see the Millennium Falcon in the Mandalorian Grogu? Is this kind of like a little tease, but not a tease?
Todd, what have you done?
It's time to wildly, irresponsibly speculate. BP, we can start with you.
I mean, I feel like it would make sense if there has to be a reason they're putting Mando and Grogu in the Falcon ride, because otherwise they would just make a new ride.
That's what, yeah.
So, that would mean Rey would be in the movie, right? Because Rey has the Falcon.
No, because this is still technically pre-TFA.
Oh no, so you're right. But
yeah, so this
I
would
guess
be
Han didn't really have it either. It was
Well,
Unkar Plutt.
yeah. So I guess that's what we get into is who owns the Falcon at this point? Because I can't remember if Batu is technically Hondo the owner of the Falcon.
Oh, you're right. Yeah.
Is this going to
I
be
guess
the
that
sequel
during
where
about
maybe we get
Do
Hondo?
we get live action Hondo?
Listen, if we get live action, we're getting live action Hondo one way or another. Like it's not a matter of if, it's when we get live action Hondo. I mean, whether it's Skeleton Crew, whether it's, which we can talk about when we get into Skeleton Crew in a little bit, but Mario, what do you think? Do you think we're gonna see this? Do you think this means that we're getting the Falcon and Mando and Grogu, or do you think this is just them being like, we need to freshen things up a little bit? The parks are getting a little stale for people.
I think it would make sense for it to somehow pop up in Mandalorian, even if it's just like a small little blurb, like, "Oh, hey, look, there it goes." Like they can touch on that and be like, "It was in the movie, so we justified this ride."
That's fair. One thing I do wonder, because obviously I think a lot of speculation about this trilogy of movies, this is going to be kind of the Heir to the Empire trilogy, but in Mando format. So instead of being exactly similar to Timothy Zahn's books, it's going to be kind of loosely interpreted. So I do wonder if that's kind of what they're getting at with this, and it's going to be maybe like a little Han, Luke, Leia in the Falcon kind of thing. Some way that they tie it all together. It could be interesting.
I'd be fine with it. There was a second where I was like, I'm not fine with it, but I'm fine with it.
The more I'm the same as you. Like the more I've thought about it, the more I'm like, okay, this could work. This could be fun. I will say I am, because I don't know. Shout out to Mandalorian Mark on X, but me and him were going back and forth on, because there's a lot of speculation about expanding the parks. Universal's doing their Epic Universe thing, so we were going back and forth on if they expanded Galaxy's Edge, what that could look like. And I would really love. I'm almost surprised that they're not looking more at expanding Galaxy's Edge, especially since they have all the land where the Galactic Star Cruiser was, and leaning into the Mandalorian stuff, where you could have like a whole Mandalorian covert or like an armorer's forge. Yeah,
I mean, is on board.
You don't
say less.
Not even having to sell.
2 reasons. 1, that would be epic. Obviously,
Yeah.
a Mandoland, get out of here. I'm all over it. 2, Florida's hot.
Yeah.
So if you put a underground covert and put a forge, air conditioned, yeah, sign me up.
Well, not only that, you would have like basically it could still be on Batu. It could be like a covert of Mandalorians on Batu, and it would be like just printing money. Because I would go like every year.
I would set a presidency.
I'm just gonna squat. So you gotta go home. No, listen, it's okay. Yeah. I'm part of the attraction now.
Squatters' rights.
Yeah, I've been here for at least 7 days. That means I'm allowed to stay forever.
By osmosis, I have become part of this. Sorry.
You just see BP and me like live action role playing in Galaxy's Edge. Like, what are you doing? It's like, it's fine. We're part of the park. It's all good. But that's really the only Star Wars news that we got from the parks. It is kind of unfortunate that I feel like there was a lot of news related to the parks, and Star Wars really was just an update to a ride that already existed. I'm not sure if they're just holding off on any cool, crazy Star Wars updates until Celebration, since that's not too far in the distance at this point.
Yeah.
But I would have liked to have seen a little bit more Star Wars at the parks.
When was the last time they had a Batu update? I think it's been a minute.
This I think would be the first, the other than like Boba Fett and Din.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Yeah, but I'm saying like the rides themselves have not changed since launch. It's been more bringing other legacy characters into the park, so like Ahsoka and things like that. So it feels like it's time to kind of do something new with the park to draw some more interest. Obviously, I feel like everybody who's wanted to go has had a chance at least at this point of trying to go. So maybe get the next round of getting people back there and mixing things up, changing things up. So adding a new ride, adding a new park, adding a new dinner theater, just something to,
Oh, that'd be amazing.
that. Well, and that's
Dinner
they. I
to
mean,
shit.
they've got the Galactic Star Cruiser space,
Yeah.
and there was a way that they were able to do. I think it was a shuttle, so I don't know how they would tie that into the park where it'd be seamless, but there was a way that they would go between the park and the Star Cruiser and back. So,
Right.
I mean, I would be shocked if they don't try and keep those kind of together moving forward with some new iteration of what that might look like.
Yeah.
But like I said, that's it for the parks. The next bit of news was related to merch and gaming kind of news. So the real gaming news we got is Fortnite. Fortnite is getting 2 new Mandalorian inspired skins. There's IG-11 and a Moff Gideon in his Dark Trooper armor, and then there's a back bling. I don't know what Fortnite. So
Okay, so
I'm assuming it's just like I was gonna say, tap in. You're in.
So before we started, I went on and purchased Moff Gideon because it looks incredible. Helmet on. You can do helmet off too, and it's Giancarlo Esposito, which is really neat. So back bling is literally just a backpack that is animated. So Grogu eats his little cookies and he vomits. and he makes sounds and talks to you like Grogu talks to you. You can put it on any character, literally any character in Fortnite, but it's just fun. Fortnite's not a serious game, so it's fun to run around as Star Wars characters, or they just put a bunch of X-Men on there, which I also purchased.
So you can run around as Wolverine with Grogu on your back.
Yeah. I can't wait to do it with Boba Fett. I don't know why. It feels great.
That's canon. That actually happened. Don't be fooled. So that's the only gaming news. There was some exclusive merch that was at D23 that then also was on Shop Disney, which obviously that's always a fight to get any of that. The big one was the Star Tours Star Speeder 3000 vehicle playset. This thing, I don't know if either of you looked at this, was insane. First off, $300. So it is not a cheap playset by any means. I think that's a little bit of the Disney tax, a little bit of the fact that it was a limited edition thing, limited to just 3,000 pieces. Very much sold out at this point. I think it went live on D23 or on Shop Disney this morning, sold out like immediately. Crazy hype for this thing. But I think it has an LCD screen in it that shows like scenes from the ride. So it's basically like a model replica of the ride itself.
It could have been
off. It's super cool. Like, shout out to anybody that was able to get one because it's a cool $300 is it's a lot.
$378 after tax and
shipping. Yeah, so $378 was the great. Which that's again a lot of dollars. But it looks cool, super cool. Love that it has like the little LCD that showed the actual ride. I think that's a cool addition.
It came with Rex too, right? The droid.
Yeah, I think so because he's the OG. He's the OG pilot, right?
Yeah, I didn't realize how big when it was announced. I didn't think it was this massive thing. So it was really neat to see.
Yeah. So, like I said, very much sold out. There's a couple other things. There's like a blade of Ochi of Bastoon, Kylo Ren reforged helmet, and a couple.
Funny because I'm finally getting to finish Shadow of the Sith. So I like started a long time ago and then had to put it down, and so now I'm like, oh yeah, blade of Ochi of Bastoon, sure.
You're like, oh, I need that. Yeah, I'm surprised you didn't try and get it to just put with all your Sith stuff, Mari.
God.
And this, ladies and gentlemen, is why we don't record as much as we used to, because we buy every single time we record. But like I said, there's a plethora of other things. A lot of like those action figure droid, like talking droids. There's a couple of those. I'd love to know your guys' thoughts. Were you at all like surprised by what was released? Do you think there would have been more? Obviously, this isn't like the biggest toy kind of event for Disney, and San Diego Comic-Con just happened, which Hasbro had all their stuff at. Is there anything that kind of surprised you?
Honestly, I was surprised to hear anything about collecting, like at all. And I had totally like checked out of my brain for this event because I just assumed it wouldn't happen. So when I saw the Iron Studios Yoda Palpatine or Sidious statue, I was like, oh,
hold on. Pump the brakes. What's going on here? I was surprised that they limited the Star Tours speeder to just 3,000 pieces, considering I feel like that's such an iconic ride at Disney, because that was all we had for the longest time before Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I think like depending on how big it is and how in depth like putting it together, limited edition kind of makes sense to me. I don't know.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know. Maybe I was expecting more like Mando stuff, but I'm always expecting more Mando stuff. I'm like, you know what would be great right now? A little bit more Mandalorian stuff.
The Blade of Ochi kind of threw me. I was like, really?
Well, it's like
Of
all the
weapons?
a lot of it was Rise of Skywalker related, which I was like, this is stuff that should have come out like multiple years ago at this point.
Skywalker came out, maybe?
Yeah. So, this just kind of goes back to, I feel like we always get stuff way after it would be actually relevant. Like I would imagine we'd be getting like Acolyte stuff at D23 or Andor stuff, especially since we're hyping up. Yeah, like that's for another episode. We'll end up in a 20-minute rabbit hole of us just being like ranting. There were a couple other panels. So obviously the big thing at D23 is they do this Legends, like Disney Legends ceremony, and this is the last ceremony of the whole event. The Star Wars aspect of this is there was 3 Disney Legends, which also kind of cracks me up because they weren't really Disney-owned properties when they were Legends. But Harrison Ford was inducted as a Disney Legend, Frank Oz, and John Williams. John Williams, obviously, is John Williams. The fact that he's just now becoming a Disney Legend is kind of wild, considering he's the like quintessential what you think of when you think of movie scoring. Like he is 100% a legend. Harrison Ford was pretty cool. Obviously, you've got Indy and Star Wars with him, and then Frank Oz is obviously Frank Oz. Like really cool to see them get recognized. Really cool to see them still have like all the love for everything that they've done. I think like even Harrison Ford got a little teary-eyed during his speech, if I remember correctly. So,
which is wild because he always seems like he hates everything that he does when he's like
at
cons and stuff.
Or like whenever he gets like anytime he gets recognized for stuff, he's like, oh, like Israel, I'm here because they told me I had to be here. So
did you guys see his interview the other day when someone asked him about the Red Hulk?
And he was like, who?
He's like, they asked him a very specific question. And he's like, this is kind of along the lines of Han and Greedo, who shot first, and I'll answer this the same way. I don't care.
He was like, I have the utmost respect and also disdain for these types of questions. I think he also said it's just Greedo. I think he said Guido, which I thought was even funnier. I was like, this is the most Harrison Ford way to answer a question. Yeah, it's anytime people are like, ask him in like who would be strong, who would win in a fight, Indiana Jones or this. He's like, I don't care. Like they're not made up. Yeah. It's fake.
I don't care.
There were a couple other panels. There's the Lucasfilm Animation Showcase, which was more of a look back. I think a lot of people were expecting some kind of like new series to be announced. So that I think was kind of like, it was. I don't know. I think there was a lot more people expected from some of these side panels than what we got. So the Lucasfilm Animation Showcase, I think Vanessa Marshall joined. I think it was Kristen Baber was the one that was hosting it. Can't remember the exact. So they kind of look back on all the different animation projects at Lucas. I think Lucasfilm Animation is approaching 20 years. So kind of it was around that, a look back on all the different projects over the last couple of years. ILM brought basically like a piece. I don't think they brought the whole volume, but they brought like a snippet of the volume.
That would have been the one thing that I would have wanted to see. Like of all the exhibits, that's cool as heck.
Yeah, so they did like a whole like, here's how the volume works. They did some like presentations on it, and then I think there was one part you could actually like go and like shoot a scene using the volume.
Oh, that's awesome!
And it looks like the footage I saw of people that did it. It's like the most like seamless, like looks like you're in Star Wars. I was like, oh, I'd be melting
in heaven. Yep.
Like it's like a 5-second video, but I'd be like, I would be so like. Put that in my. I would have that video playing like on a loop on a giant screen, just hanging in my.
There's a dedicated TV just for that. Yeah,
it's just the same thing on repeat.
I would have my entire Mando kit on, just standing in front of it. I don't care what they put on the volume, whatever they want.
They're gonna be blowing up in the background. I'd be like, you know what? Play it, put it on repeat.
Fine.
Okay.
It's living on. One last panel. There was a look back on the Acolyte with Manny, which great to see him out. He's obviously Manny Chimere's army.
He got announced for Celebration, and I'm so excited.
Are you gonna try and get an auto or photo op or both?
I'm gonna try all the things. I'm gonna try. We'll see. I told myself I wouldn't do that kind of stuff anymore, and then Acolyte happened. So
yeah. Well, that's a given. But yeah, he did like a look back on the season. They showed some concept art for some different characters. I don't know if either of you saw this, but the concept art for the Stranger's helmet before they landed on the one they actually. I'll have to send you Mari after we finish recording it. It's like real creepy looking, like real like skeleton.
Look it up.
It's real like dark and creepy looking. I'm almost like, ooh, that would have been. I
can't wait for the Art of Acolyte book. Can't just for Chimera Stranger alone.
For those listening, I think Mari just found the concept art based off of
only dogs can hear her now, though. Literally, only dogs hear her now.
The high pitched screaming in the background. But it was really cool. And then at the end of it, the whole presentation and look back and all that, they ended up doing a little meet and greet with him, that's pretty cool. Like if you just happen to be like, I want to go listen because I love the Acolyte, and then it's like, by the way, now you can go get an autograph. I'm
so jealous of that experience. A and B, it wasn't just like an 8x10. It was like a 14x20. It was like amazing high def picture, and that killer picture of him with his dual sabers with the guns out. Child, please. So
that was really cool. So that was basically all the different presentations and everything. The one last thing that Star Wars had at D23 was a skeleton crew exhibit, which had a couple different characters, some alien-looking characters, and then it had Vane from the Mandalorian season 3, which I think he's still slated to be the big like baddie of skeleton crew. So that was really cool. I'm glad to see we're getting more aliens. I'm all about Wolfman coming back in pirate format. And then I think the last one was the droid that was me SM33
Junker droid.
But he's basically I love that.
The voices?
Yeah.
Nick Frost.
Yep.
Oh my gosh.
Yep. And he's got a peg leg, and I was like, oh, listen, like I'm here for it. So
the droid they had on site looked how I feel. Tired.
Exhausted, just tired. So I guess that is going to take us into the kind of meat of our conversation about D23. So the big thing was related to Star Wars wise is the Disney Entertainment panel that went on. This is where they talked about a lot of it is, again, Disney D23 is Disney focused. So there's a lot of like Disney things coming out, like Incredibles and all the millions of sequels to stuff that I thought would not have sequels anymore, like Toy Story 5. So, but for Star Wars wise, we got a couple things. So the first one that we can dive into is Lego Star Wars Rebuild the Galaxy. There's been some stuff that's come out before about this. I'm super excited about this. We got the new official trailer. We got 4 new parody posters, did you guys see the parody posters?
Yeah, they're so good.
They are so good. I love that they dive into the prequel era, like Jar Jar with the Darth Vader in the background for the episode 1 poster.
That made me so happy.
And then the episode 2 Anakin and Padme poster, like the real moody and broody one. But it was like, who was it? It was Greedo and who? I can't remember the other one.
Shit.
I don't remember. I got so distracted when I realized that Darth Nubs was in this.
Yes. Well, yeah, Darth Nubs. You had Darth Rose Tico next to Darth Nubs, which is
people are gonna love that.
It's gonna be the most this is gonna be the most unhinged thing imaginable. For those who might not have been following around with it, it is basically like a Star Wars what if. So you've got Darth Jar Jar, you've got like every meme that's been made about Star Wars, I feel like they put into this. Like I think it's a limited series. Like I think it's a 4-part thing. It's not a single one-off. But it's coming to Disney Plus on September 13th. The full cast was also announced with this. I'm not going to go through everybody because it's a lot, but we have a lot of familiar faces. So we've got Gatton Matarazzo, who is from Stranger Things. That's where a lot of people recognize him from. Ahmed Best. Bobby Moynihan. Mark Hamill is going to be doing the voice of Luke Skywalker, but he's like a real chilled out Luke Skywalker, like the bro Luke Skywalker.
Oh,
like
I should have pulled all the little minifigs because I do have the Dark Falcon, and it came with like Beach Bum Luke and Darth Jar Jar and a couple other figures. I have the solid white like Darth Vader.
Yeah, Luke Skywalker went and smoked a few sandwiches and feeling real mellow. Kelly Marie Tran is coming back to do the voice of Rose. Anthony Daniels will be in it. Billy D. Williams, D. Bradley Baker, and then a ton of other like well-known Star Wars voice actors and just voice actors in general. There's other actors too. I mean, if you want to check it out, StarWars.com's got the whole list of the entire cast, but it's packed. Like it is a stacked cast.
I think you described 71% of Star Wars voice actors anyway when you said D. Bradley Baker was going to be there.
Whenever you think of Star Wars, it's just D. Bradley Baker shows up. Like, yes.
Every character is him.
Yep. He's got the most characters just because of the clones.
Yeah, pretty much.
Yep.
He does other characters' voices too, I think, in Clone Wars, doesn't he?
But
he does a lot.
I think so. Yeah, which makes sense. Like you go in there and you do one, and it's like, well, can you also do this and this and this? Like Sam Witwer's another one that's in it, which I'm sure is going to be related to Darth Maul somehow, among other things. I know he's done some other voices. I think he was on Katie Sackhoff's podcast, and they were talking about like all of the characters that he does, but he's not credited for it because it's just like random background characters. But he's like more than he can count, kind of thing.
Yeah.
So
hey, Sam, where you want to come on our show? Just throwing that out there.
What?
Please.
So I'm trying to get Sam Witwer to come on our show. So putting it out in the universe yet again.
I don't know if I could mentally handle it, and I'd have to just like watch in the shadows.
Just be like, so who are your favorite Star Wars characters? And Mari's like in the back, like frantically pulling down all their Darth Maul stuff.
As her face is painted as Darth Maul.
It's Lando. It's like,
It's Lando.
It's actually the Hutt, and you just see Ezra Bridger.
I was like, you said Jabba the Hutt, and I immediately went Ezra Bridger.
I love how that's what we go to now. It's like not actually Jabba the Hutt. It's like, oh yeah, Jabba might be in this. It's like Ezra. And I love that Amon is also leaned into it
so
heavily. Into it. Like, and he'll be like, "Look, it's me, it's Jabba the Hutt." And it's like, oh man, what a time! So that's the sleeper of the announcements that I feel like is like kind of not flying under the radar, but is going to hit so much harder than everybody expects it to, because it's just going to be such a fun ride that like has no connection to anything, doesn't have to play by any rules. They can go as wild as they want.
It's Star Wars. What if?
Yeah, it's going to be a hoot. Next one, I'm going to mix this up a little bit. So next we're going to talk about Andor season 2. So these are the fun, and this is also what drives me nuts about these kind of events, where they show some footage, but they don't release that footage. So then we're all watching this footage on grainy cell phone quality. I think like me and BP like send each other like 8 different angles, all getting like progressively closer to the screen.
Yep.
I haven't seen any
I don't
of
get
that.
it.
Grogu,
I don't.
Grogu.
It gets leaked 100% of the time.
Yeah,
like,
I get it to a degree.
And then show it to us.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of get it, because the whole idea is like people pay X amount of money. So it's like, well, you paid all this money to be here. Here's a little special thing so that you feel special. Yeah. So I get it to that degree, but because everything always leaks out, it's like, I don't know. It can be frustrating.
Every person in that arena had their phone out and like on the screen.
Well, that's the crazy thing. So I remember when Celebration 2019 happened and we got our first like sizzle of Mando, they were like aggressively like walking around with security, making sure people weren't recording. I think it still got out because it still does. But like the celebration ones, they're always way more aggressive, and I feel like they're way more aggressive at getting videos taken down.
That was like a 10-minute scene. I watched that grainy cell phone footage of that 9 million times before it came out.
Yep, it was the whole. I think like the first opening sequence in the bar.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'll never understand why they are so secretive about this stuff when they know in today's day and age, like unless they start making people lock their phones up, it's going to come out.
I mean, but if only they had a platform that people paid for that they could stream it on. Like Disney
I was saying I would pay an insane amount of money. I was also a little wine drunk while this was happening, so but I was ready to just pull the credit card out and be like, let me see this. Like, let me hang it on the table. Like, let me watch it.
I watch this.
Yeah. I don't know what, like maybe at some point, like I could see it with Celebration. I could see it with D23. Like maybe they offer an option where they start streaming stuff. Cause a lot of it now is on YouTube, but I could see them eventually paywalling it. So maybe that's in the works for the future. Maybe Celebration, we might have panels that we have to watch via Disney Plus.
They just raised Disney Plus again, so they got the platform.
Listen, Mickey Mouse needs his cheddar.
It's true. They got to build all these new lands they announced yesterday.
Exactly. But anyway, Andor season 2, Diego Luna was there. Talked a little bit about kind of what to expect this season. We got a little bit of footage. Again, this is all leaked out, so grainy, bear with us. But in that footage, we got our first look at K2SO and Krennic for this season. So obviously it makes sense they're going to show up. We're getting closer and closer to Rogue One. Mm-hmm. One thing that was really stressed in this is that the stakes are much higher. Again, getting closer to Rogue One. The rebellion is kind of out of its formative infant years and getting more into its established, what we eventually see in Rogue One. So obviously there's an established rebellion at that point. It's not kind of everybody playing in the shadows. It's very much they have a group that is ready to go.
I mean, for the love of God, please, Lucasfilm, Andor season 2, include K2 from Jump Street. Please don't do the last episode we introduced K2SO.
No, I don't think they will. So that's I guess that goes into the next thing. So the season is going to be structured with 4 story arcs of 3 episodes each. So it's going to be 12 episodes. And at the end of each arc is going to be a 1-year time jump. So the course of the whole season, they'll go through 4 years, which I think we do. And it'll go right up to basically, I don't know if they'll go exactly to like right before we see Cassian in that alleyway when he like he shoots the one guard or the one pilot dude. But we'll go right up to the events of Rogue One. So I think that first arc we could get K2SO, and then the rest of it'll be the first or second arc. I don't think we're going to get him for the entire series, but I think either that first or second arc. I think I would lean more towards that second arc of him showing up, and then we get K2SO for the back half of the show.
Did they tell us the time jump between seasons?
No, but I think it's the same. I don't think it's a huge jump, if any. I think it might also be like a year. Like there's not a whole lot of time. Like obviously Cassian's kind of, he doesn't age exponentially. It's not like we're going from kid Cassian to adult Cassian. We're going from old Cassian to slightly older Cassian. A more refined Cassian. The Cassian that's been in this fight. The Cassian that's been in this fight for far too long.
Since he was 6 years old.
Yeah, since I was 6 years old. Anyway, that'll premiere on Disney Plus in 2025. No exact month, no exact release date. I know this, I think, got bumped a little bit because of the strikes. We've talked about that in the past. So we'll see when we might get this. I imagine it would probably be like maybe spring 2025 would kind of be my guess because of Skeleton Crew is going to fall, and they want to probably give like 3-ish months between series.
I can see it May the 4th.
Yeah.
Well, when Celebration's April, right?
Yeah.
I can see him doing a Kenobi because at Anaheim they premiered Kenobi at Celebration, so they could do the same thing with Andor season 2 and do this Andor season 2 premiere at Celebration.
When you first said that, I was like, they're taking the high ground.
Yes. a surprise to be sure, but a welcome one.
Mhm.
Next one I want to talk about Mandalorian and Grogu. So they did confirm that production is underway, and this movie is still slated for May 22nd of 2026. So they are not, as of now, moving it. So we are going to have Avengers and Star Wars once again, back to back, Battle of the Giants. I'm very interested to see how this will play out because it did not go well, like we talked about last episode about the San Diego Comic-Con stuff. It did not go so well for Star Wars last time. I think this is a different animal.
100% different.
Yeah.
Way different animal. But I do think that it's going to pull from each other a little bit. It might not be a bunch, but it is going to pull a little bit. So the conversation will be that Marvel versus Star Wars instead of just letting these two kind of be their own entities. So
They
not
both have the same dad.
yeah. Well, and Pedro's pulling double duty in both of them, so it's like, man's gonna be working the press for a solid like 2 months.
And Last of Us season 2 comes out right around the same time, so
man, he's
gonna be just doing interviews.
Yeah. Oh man, that's gonna be rough. Anyway, we got again grainy cell phone footage for this one. This one kind of drove me nuts because this is like the one Star Wars movie that we have on the horizon in the near future. I don't know why everything is so secretive with it when they know it's going to come out. Like people are hungry for this. People want every little detail they can get. So highlights from this footage that we got is Grogu and Din facing off against some snowtroopers.
Yeah.
A massive Imperial AT-AT walker in the snow. Real jazzed about that. There's Din basically driving an AT-RT down a hill towards the AT-ATs.
I wouldn't say driving. I would say radically out of control.
Gracefully falling, if you will, down. They took the brakes off. There's actually Grogu piloting. He's like, they took the training wheels off the training legs.
If you listen closely, you just hear yes.
They are bringing the Razor Crest back. So Razor Crest 2.0 is happening.
Do you think he finds one, or is it a variant?
It's from Earth 1379.
Yeah.
Zeb is flying with Din and Grogu, so we got a fun look at Zeb. So Zeb, I think, is going to have a role in this movie, which kind of makes sense because he kind of had a random cameo in Mando season 3.
Yeah.
In the context of the season, because he shows up once and it's like, all right, hi Zeb. Okay, bye Zeb. Like nothing really happens with it. And then obviously the cutest shot is Grogu traveling with 2 tiny Anzellans in a very small ship. Very cramped looking, everybody looks very annoyed, like very much are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? I'll tell you when we get there. But this looks great. I'm excited. I know BP, obviously you're excited.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I watched it probably 17 times. There's not really a ton of new stuff in there, but the couple things I just wanted to say is we're getting live action snowtroopers, like Empire Strikes Back snowtroopers, because we technically got snowtroopers in Last Jedi. They were just the First Order version. So that's really cool to get those back. And if you really zoom in on one of the really grainy scenes, there's like a McQuarrie snowtrooper design.
Oh, nice.
And it's really cool looking. And I felt like what we did get felt super Clone Wars.
Yeah.
Like the blasting down that hill, driving, Grogu crawling through a tunnel, Grogu with Anzellans, like everything about it just felt super Clone Wars, and I'm here for it.
Same.
I don't like the name of the movie. I will say that Mandalorian Grogu just feels uninspired.
Yeah, I don't know. I just saw Deadpool Wolverine finally, and that's got the same uninspired name. It's like Deadpool Wolverine. So, and that made $1 billion. So I don't think that they're super worried about the name, but I get it. Like it'd be cool if it was something else than just the Mandalorian and Grogu. But obviously they're also trying to get butts and seats, and the series is called The Mandalorian. So this is just being like the Mandalorian and friend. and the real Mandalorian.
Right. Yeah.
People are probably going to be concerned when that movie comes out when I'm sitting full kit in a theater for 12 hours a day.
Sir, you haven't moved. No, it's cool. I'm here all day. I bought 12 tickets. I'm fine.
It's called squatters' rights, buddy.
I'll be right. I'll be
You can
right
do
there
this
with you.
and
It's
not the
okay.
bed.
This is my whole incentive to finish my my Mando setup so that I'm ready to just go sweat to death as I watch this. The bucket will hide the tears. It'll be great.
Yes.
I will say I want to ask both of you this. Obviously, the return of the Razor Crest. We had this big. The Razor Crest got destroyed, and then part of Book of Boba Fett was this new ship, and then obviously the new ship had a bigger role in Mando season 3. Do you think that the return of the Razor Crest means that we're going to lose the N1 Starfighter? Or do you think he's just going to be double dipping? And also, do you think that they're maybe going back to focusing on kind of Din's the whole idea? I feel like with the Razor Crest is he needed a bounty hunting ship, like something that he could carry people in.
Yeah.
So do you think that maybe the reason why they're bringing the Razor Crest back is they're trying to get back to that kind of storytelling with Din, where it's very much more the bounty hunting side of things and not the sleek, stylish Mando side of things?
I don't think it's a return to the Razor Crest. I think it's a return to a Razor Crest. I think I'm completely speculating, but if I had to guess, what do we see? We saw an Imperial base, and the Razor Crest is technically an Imperial ship. So maybe he just finds another one, and I think they need it for the movie purpose, not necessarily a story purpose. Meaning he needs people space for Bo-Katan, Armorer, Zeb. It's the best way to get everybody on one ship that makes sense because only him and Grogu fit in one. So I think it's probably more of a story driver than it is anything else. But I'm here for it. I love that thing. It's going to make the HasLab price skyrocket. So if you've been holding on to two of those to sell one, I think your time's about to come.
I was thinking the same thing. Like the Razor Crest was kind of like his home. Now he has Grogu too. So like having all these people he's probably going to be adventuring with and the bounty hunter aspect of it all, like he definitely needs more space. The N1 was just kind of like a stepstone. Yeah, it was. Yeah, exactly. Midlife crisis. Like,
yeah, he's going back to the minivan.
Yeah, exactly.
Din's going from minivan to hot rod to back to dad life. He's like, all right, now I gotta go be a dad again. Let's trade in the car, get the minivan.
Exactly.
If the pulse rifle comes back in this movie too, I'm gonna be unbearable to be around.
Oh man, it's gonna be fun. This is the one thing that I am like unbelievably stoked for, obviously for reasons that are quite obvious. So I very much like I'm kind of glad it's not getting bumped because obviously May 26 is much closer than like December 2026.
Yes.
But also feels so far away. I'm like, I want it now. I want it next year. I need it right this second.
Well, we're mid-August now. Okay, so we got 4 months left of this year.
Yeah, and then I'm assuming that we'll get another update at Celebration because if they've started production, then I could see them having another sizzle. I don't think they'll have a teaser because that would be over a year out.
Yeah.
But I could see.
I wouldn't be surprised at all if there's like an entire like section of Celebration that is Mandalorian specific.
Well, that if it was back in the US, I'd say yes. Because I look at like Anaheim had the whole Mandalorian experience where they had like all the costumes and everything. So if it was someone like if it was in Anaheim again or if it was in Orlando, I think that there would be more of like a Mando experience kind of thing at Celebration or a whole section dedicated to Mandalorian. But because it's in Japan, I feel like they're gonna not have as much of a prop presence, if you will.
I don't think that's gonna stop them one bit.
The space is apparently huge.
The space is huge. It's just shipping everything over there would cost a fortune. Yeah.
California to Japan is.
It's not as far.
It's still shipping a bunch of freight though.
They got the money.
The ocean, as long as they know what they're taking, that they, depending on what it is, not that horribly expensive.
I have a perfect solution for them. If you're sending people, right? They're sending their employees. just have them wear the costumes
Yeah.
on the plane.
Could you
Free
imagine?
shipping.
Could you imagine a bunch of like just a plane full of Mandalorians? flying?
Yeah.
No, this is fine, guys. Don't worry about it. It's all good.
I'm going to New York Comic Con in October and fully
Me
plan to
too.
wear
Me too.
my kit on the train up there.
That
It's easier to wear it than it is to like try to.
Wait, you're
transport
taking
it.
the train too?
Yeah.
We're gonna take the train.
Have you bought your
Man.
tickets yet? 'Cause if you haven't, let's link up.
That's what I was gonna say. We should probably plan that.
Yeah, we
I
should.
Yeah.
miss
we'll
the
talk.
train. I'll be at home crying.
Todd.
I'll be watching in the distance.
Standing in the rain.
Yeah, what is it? The one that's like staring at my window, like hand against the glass. Like, no, there's a random like rainstorm that rolls in.
It's not raining. It's Julie out in the yard with a water hose.
Yeah, she's like, go inside. Go back. You're being weird. All right. Last thing we're going to talk about for D23 and probably the closest that Star Wars we're getting is Skeleton Crew. Skeleton Crew is coming out December 3rd. We got the official teaser trailer and key art poster. Key art poster, nothing crazy, but very nice, very simple, very stylistic, very big fan. We got the trailer. So the trailer, I first off, what'd you just initial thoughts? What did you both think about the trailer? Just general thoughts. BP, we can start with you.
I think I said in the last episode or the episode before, nothing about this has piqued my interest yet. So watching it, I wasn't excited. I wasn't not excited. I was indifferent. But after watching it, it looks very interesting. I love the style of the backgrounds, how it looks very Star Wars, very rundown, very grimy, very Rogue One-ish. So I'm in.
Darth Murray.
I loved the fact that they were exploring a different type of like starter to a series. Like you get the suburban, like kids on their bicycles, like kind of entrance, and I loved that because it's not something that we've ever really gotten. We got the dumb bikes from Boba Fett, but
if their little speeder bikes are pedaled.
I would love that so much, but yeah, the whole feel of it, I actually teared up like watching it. I was like, this is adorable, and it makes me anything new Star Wars like coming out. I'm like, I'm just so excited to see where they take us next, because they have just started to expand on everything, and
I love it.
The trailer definitely makes this series feel very like Spielberg-y.
Yeah.
If that makes sense. Like very E.T., very Goonies.
Very
like
80s.
Yeah, it feels very much there. Like, all right, how can we make Star Wars 80s? And I was like, yeah, this is
bring it back to the 80s.
Yeah. One of them just has a mullet. I was like, oh, yes.
Please.
And it's what's the little blue
Neil.
alien thing?
Neil Nation.
He has the mullet.
Yeah, absolutely. So the trailer opens up with, kids talking about dreaming about going on more adventures, exploring the galaxy. They come across what they think is a lost Jedi temple, and then the temple ends up being, I'm assuming, a ship. Again, the trailer's kind of like you're speculating based off of what we see. But it looks like they get in a ship. The ship has like some kind of, once you get piloted, it takes off sort of thing, or they accidentally turn it on. Very 80s, like stumble upon this and oh no, we're now going on this adventure.
Space.
Yeah. So the ship is called the Onyx Cinder. We saw that with the Lego leak, and then obviously we've now had some comments about the series from the creators. So we know the name of the ship is the Onyx Cinder. So they got accidentally launched into space, and the whole premise of the series is them trying to get back home to their home planet, and all the adventures and shenanigans that they can get into on the entire time. BP, you talked about it. Obviously, the look and feel of the series has got kind of that grimy, off, like very creature heavy feel to Star Wars that we love, and I'm very excited. Obviously, the pirate aspect was at D23 with that one exhibit we talked about earlier, but also kind of I forget which one talks about it. It might have been Smee, or just a random alien, but sort of the way they speak is very like, all right, matey, we got.
I don't remember them talking, but I had to kind of like rush watching this one, so it's my fault for not rewatching it.
I just had a weird thought.
Mhm.
So their ship, the Onyx Cinder, I sent you guys a picture of the Lego, right?
Yeah,
So you have like a visual of what it looks like in your head, their ship.
I think so. Yeah.
On your phones, pull up the Knights of Ren's ship.
Oh,
It's
I
the
know what you're talking
exact
about.
same ship.
No.
Yeah.
Wouldn't it be dark? Crazy dark.
No,
At the end of this series, these kids just get wiped out by the Knights of Ren.
not Neil Nation.
It's the
He's
same
so
exact
sweet.
ship.
It does look very similar to I forget the name of the Knights of Ren
It's like
ship,
the
but
Buzzard or something like that.
yeah, something like that. But yeah, they do look very similar. Yeah, so
It's like
obviously we didn't get any look at the
Night Buzzard.
antagonist of this series of the series. We have Vane was shown as like at the D23 exhibit, but he's not in this trailer. So I imagine that'll be more like an official trailer. We'll get maybe a tease of more of the pirate aspect. We did see Smee, which I also love the fact that the pirate's name or the robot's name is Smee. I was like, you guys just really, you said, how on the nose can we make some of this stuff?
It's like, have you guys ever seen Hook? I have an idea.
Yeah. All right. Hear me out. Hear me out. Robot, Star Wars, space. Oscar.
I'm in.
Oscar. Do you smell Oscar gold? Because I do. Or Emmy
There's
gold, technically.
someone called Nick Frost.
Yeah. I smell metal time. And then the trailer ends with Jod Nawood, which that also is one of the wildest. Yeah, I was like, that is Nawood. Jude Law's character. So Jude Law has obviously been very front and center. I think he's going to be kind of like the mentor to the kids on this adventure that they're going on, trying to get them back home. The characters are Wim, Fern, KB, Neil Nation, Jude Law's character, and then Smee, who's voiced by Nick Frost, as we've talked about. But yeah, like BP, like you said, the series is something that I feel like people haven't really been super excited for, mainly because I feel like there's been a lot of other series that have come out. We had The Acolyte, which was a big hype thing for a lot of people. We've had Mando, we've had Andor. So this has kind of been, I feel like, flying under the radar. And now that we're starting to get some stuff, it looks like it's going to be a fun adventure. I know Jude Law, when he's talked about this series, is focused very heavily on the kids aspect and how it's seeing Star Wars like through the kids' eyes, seeing this adventure told through the eyes of a child, which I feel like this is one of those like moments where this is going to be such a George Lucas coded series.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah,
I'm very excited for this. I think it's going to be a fun adventure, and it's set in the Mando universe. So who knows who might show up?
Episode 5, The Return of the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I look forward to Din having another half episode or half season of cameo appearance.
I mean, it could work. They just like episode 5, Mando drops off Grogu with the kids and Jude Law for a bit. And he goes off and does an adventure, and the kids get into hijinks. It writes itself. Also, Jude Law, they could have just named his character Jude Law and it would have fit perfectly.
No, we need Jod Nawood.
Yeah, we need Jod Nawood.
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 Jod Nawood.
I forget the name
I think we just found our social clip for the week.
What's that one song? It's like there's another version of it that's 100% not kosher for the episode, so I'm not singing it, but I'll sing it afterwards. But that's what my brain goes to every time I hear it, so that's why I can't sing it. But yeah, so that's the trailer. I think it's gonna be a lot of fun. And that is pretty much everything we got from D23 for Star Wars. I guess what we can start with UBP. I feel like I already know, but what was your highlight of D23 Star Wars content? What are you most excited for based off of what we got?
Obviously Mando and Grogu, but it's not just because it's Mando. It was because I didn't expect any clips because they just started filming, I think 3 weeks ago.
Yeah,
so
it's not
but
been
everything
long.
they showed was CGI or puppet that I could think of off the top of my head. So which makes sense. But yeah, I was jazzed to get some Mando content. Like I was legitimately excited about that as I texted you guys at midnight multiple times. What about you, Darth Murray?
Probably the Skeleton Crew, like finally getting a little taste of what's coming after all of the hype of the Acolyte has died down. It's like just waiting for that next little taste of my Star Wars universe. So yeah, the trailer was just thank you for bringing that to us finally.
For me, I'm with you, Mari. I think seeing stuff for Skeleton Crew was definitely super cool and really kind of help start to build the hype train for Skeleton Crew, because I think this is really going to be a fun series. And it's funny because we're going from such a heavy series with the Acolyte, which was very like heavy in emotion, heavy in action, heavy in literally everything, to what looks like it's going to be a very lighthearted, fun adventure. I'm gonna laugh when this turns into like this huge, like heavy drama, or like they get into like some, so it gets like real dark and real like, oh boy, this is it's like that Ben Affleck smoking a cigarette like outside kind of thing. It's just like, oh,
Putting a Dunkin's iced tea.
Yeah, it's always with the dunks. Can't ever not have the dunks. And then obviously Mando and Grogu. I'm excited that we're getting any scraps of Mando and Grogu. I think it's going to be a super fun movie, and I think it's going to do great. And I can't wait to watch it 20 million times. But that's going to do it for D23. So I'm going to toss it back to you, BP.
All right. Well, I think we're an hour in. That's probably going to do it for this episode. But before we go, I need everybody's help who's listening to this. Not your usual thing. No, I'm not asking you to give us a review. I'm not asking you to follow us anywhere. I'm asking you to peer pressure Todd and Darth Maury to build Mandalorian suits before this movie.
There's not even peer pressure. I just let me get through my wedding and let me get through. I can compartmentalize.
Japan. When Japan is done,
Ari's got her big expensive fun thing. I've got my big expensive fun thing. I gotta get through those, and then I can go on to other fun expensive Star Wars things.
All right. In all seriousness, though, we're on all social media platforms. Black Squadron Podcast or some variation of that. We're the only ones. Come follow us, check us out, have fun with us. Join our Discord. We talk literally all day long, showing pictures, our collections, news, you name it. A lot of Lego talk recently, which has been a lot of fun. Where can they find y'all on the internets?
Darth Mari?
You can find me on everything, including Twitch. I recently built the Dark Falcon live on Twitch at Frosty Britches with a Z. What about you, Todd?
You can find me on everything except Twitch. I am awful at video games. At Todd Knows Best, and it's the nose like the one on your face. And mostly you're gonna find me on X, tweeting random gin jar and thirst or pictures of food, which I'll be getting ready to gear up again for Skeleton Crew. Yeah, it's just gonna be actually like thirsty pictures of Pedro and then like an exquisite meal.
Exquisite.
Also ways to
tell me
describe...
which one looks tastier.
It's a picture of
Hotter.
What were we doing? On DP the Maker on everything. And if you want to see a part of Mari's build that she was just talking about on Black Squadron Podcast YouTube channel, we streamed it on there as well, so you can check that out. But I guess until next time, remember, the Force will be with you always.